For a couple of months now, we've been speculating about the possibility that Donald Trump, if he does decide to run for president again, which he certainly seems like he's going to, facing opposition, not just from like his son, but another popular Republican like Ron DeSantis, who is popular in Florida, despite throwing tens of thousands of them needlessly into early graves because he didn't care to do anything about COVID. There are some polls showing that things might be kind of close between them if it does come down to the two. Now, up until this point, Trump has not responded to this possibility, but that has now changed. He had an interview with Yahoo News, and he said, if I faced him, I'd beat him like I would beat everyone else. I don't think I will face him. I think most people would drop out. I think he would drop out. So he is not just saying that he would whoop up on Ron DeSantis, but that he would get Ron DeSantis to drop out, or presumably to never announce. Now, Ron DeSantis is obviously an ambitious politician who cares about his own edification, his own future more than the lives of his constituents. He has been very deferential to Trump in the past, not just during the pandemic, but you might recall he released to become governor one of the cringiest campaign ads ever, where he is literally teaching his son how to read by reading him quotes from Donald Trump and building a wall out of little blocks. It's just the most pathetic thing. But Viviana, what do you think about this? If it comes down to would DeSantis actually run against Trump?
I mean, I think Trump is going to face more opposition than just that. I think his own health is going to be in opposition to him. I mean, we got a few more years ahead of him, so he's got to take that into consideration. And I don't know, these egos, they're pretty big, both of these egos. I do think if Trump is still holding some power when it comes down to it between him and DeSantis, I think DeSantis will kowtow.
Yeah, I think, look, I think Trump is going to decide if he wants to do it. And I don't, like, even if his health is really bad, which we'll get into more, I think he just wants to be the spotlight. I think that his approval rating, or not necessarily his approval rating, but when you ask Republicans, do you want him to run for president? It has gone down quite a bit this year. And I think a lot of that is just due to he's not around.
Yeah.
Like, sure, he's doing his rallies kind of, but they don't get the coverage that they did. He's not in the news because he's not president. He's literally not on Twitter, but who is on all those things? Well, Ron DeSantis is around. You hear about Ron DeSantis, most of it bad, but you do hear about him. I think Trump is desperate to be back in it. DeSantis, I think, is just gonna see if he thinks he can win, he'll go. But it really is gonna come down to how popular Trump still is. DeSantis does not want to taint himself in the eyes of the Trump base by turning against Trump if he's just gonna lose anyway. But we do know that Wall Street heavily favors DeSantis over Trump because he's seen as a more reliable deliverer of what they want. They're talking about potentially, they've already been giving him a lot of money this year. They might back him if he challenges Trump. It's a lot of factors. What do you, when it comes to the Trump base, they still seem loyal to him. What Republican would be willing to potentially have them turn against him? Like those same people like DeSantis now, would they if he ran against Trump?
Let's keep in mind what this system is based on: money. So where the money goes, that's where it's gonna go. I'm gonna ask you this: do you think Trump needs Twitter to win, or to even still be relevant?
Got Facebook. I think that Twitter, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that Twitter might have indicated, my gut is that if he was to run again, they would reinstate him. But I mean, they did kick him off while he was still technically president. I mean, he wasn't going to be president for much longer. Do you think that Twitter would reinstate him? And how important do you think it is to his run if he runs again?
I actually think he needs it. I think he needs it. It goes back to what we were talking about with SNL and everything being superficial. Like his base, especially, they're not deep. They're not reading the Wall Street Journal. They need Twitter. They need that to have that contact with him. They need that to feel close with him, because that's all that he offers, is that frat boy mentality of you're my friend. Once he loses that connection, I don't think he's gonna have that same tactile control of his audience that he had before. So it's gonna be very interesting.
Direct,
yeah. I mean, that is what made him who he is in politics, having that direct line. And what the people in power got from Trump being in office has already been done. So do they need him anymore? Or can they now move forward without him with people like DeSantis and other disgusting Republicans that are willing to throw dead bodies on the fire just for their own benefit? And when that money gets lined in the right politicians' pockets who have that political power to vote, because Trump really doesn't have the political power anymore. If his own cronies are now going to run against him, how much power does he really have? They don't need him. They're the ones voting.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's going to be a test of is all of his supposed strength like a glass shield? Like it looks scary, but if everyone would just turn against him, they might beat him. I don't know. I do wonder.
I mean, he's not even in the news anymore. I mean, people are not even talking about him. I mean, these forever Trumpers.
And Ron DeSantis, Ron DeSantis, he knows how to demonize critical race theory and trans students. Like they can deliver all of the horrendous hatred and fear of a Donald Trump, but they also might accomplish more of what rich conservatives want once he becomes president. Maybe. I do wonder.
If Trump doesn't have the ability to be best buddies through Twitter and social media, that direct connection with the regular schmoes out there that idolize him, I think he loses some of that power and that panache.
Yeah, I mean, look, you can't have that connection just based on your little blog. Obviously, that's why he deleted it. He's not getting enough play on Fox. And sure, they can get like a lot of regular Trump supporters can get his message, on any number of different white supremacist message boards and stuff like that. But it's not the same as Twitter. Telegram is not the same as Twitter, basically. Yeah. By the way, you mentioned his health, so I'm just going to briefly jump ahead to that. Omarosa, former Trump aide, who's now been freed from her NDA. Said recently that Trump, quote, won't be healthy enough for a 2024 run. She is implying that she knows things about his health that are not made explicit. Last month, Trump said that the only thing that would stop him from running would be a, quote, bad call from a doctor. I think I get sort of what he means, but I doubt like his calls with the doctor now are positive. Like he was a wreck before he got COVID. Like what is the state of insight? If you were to peel him open, what's even left in there at this point?
It reminds me of that Simpsons episode where Mr. Burns goes to the doctor and they're like, Mr. Burns, you have every illness. You even have like childhood smallpox. Like it was like he had everything. And he's like, but amazingly, they have a little bunch of toys getting stuffed through a doorway. And they're like, but they're all jammed in there. So somehow he's all indestructible.
Yeah.
So that's I
true.
mean, Trump is an older man and he does not take care of himself. I'm not wishing him ill in any way. His health is his health, but it is normal to have health issues getting into your, late 70s. And so.
Yeah, or your mid 30s like me. Yeah, it's natural. It's not about me or my choices, it's expected.
A bad call from a doctor. He pays doctors to write this down. I am the most healthy man in the world. I mean,
very good call. It's the best call, the perfect call. Anyway, really fast. Let's show this video of Omarosa. I haven't seen this yet. Maybe she'll be more specific. Let's see.
She won't.
Rev, you've been saying this from the beginning that Donald Trump was dangerous, his rhetoric was dangerous, and we can see the results of that in this poll, that people are actually believing his lies. And I think going into 2024, I'm really more concerned about the fact that Donald Trump hasn't come forward and talked about his health. I don't know if he will even be healthy enough to run in 2024, and I think he needs to come clean to the American people about where he is on that before deciding to get into a very stressful and strenuous race for the White House.
Yeah, it's a lot, and he's old. He's 6 years older than he was when he first ran. He's gonna be 2 years more older. How many do you think he has? And he's likely suffering from long COVID. We're gonna cover long COVID more tomorrow, by the way, which we're finding out is worse and worse.
Yeah.
I mean, how many people are gonna have to hold him up as he slowly walks down the ramps this time around?
Anyway. I hope there's no ramps in his future. Poor guy, can't take him.
Yeah,
I knew Omarosa wouldn't have anything to say. She's not in the in crowd anymore. I don't know what she really knows or if she really knew anything. Sure. It's just general knowledge to know that somebody's an older man who doesn't take care of himself and eats hamburgers all day is not going to be in great health.
You're totally right. Yeah, I mean, the Hamburglar was a relatively young man, and I don't know how he'd last on the campaign trail.
He was only 25.
Was he really?
Yeah.
Anyway, was he? Oh, okay, I didn't know that. You know more of the Hamburglar lore than me.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.